Dabang Power Hour. And welcome back to our listeners, and hope we've got some new people here. We've got another special guest with us today, so we're going to be focusing on youth today and youth empowerment. So we've got Constable Nabil Shike. He is the Fort Bend County Precinct 3 Constable, and he is going to be joining us today as well. So thank you both for coming today. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So, youth, so important to get them excited about, wanting to be involved in the community, and they're the future, right? So we've got to find ways to get them involved. So I guess let's start with Engage, as your organization. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, I'd love to. I'm currently the Policy Associate at MGAGE, used to be the Civic Engagement Director, and we are a 501c3 that focuses on Muslim American community members. Our goal is to empower and engage and mobilize voters and new Americans who are going to be voters down the line to get involved and to make sure they have their voice heard at all levels of government.
What are some of the specific ways that you reach out to the community?
If you name it, we probably have it. So we have a really extensive Get Out the Vote program that we do whenever there's an election close by. We have a team of wonderful block walkers led by our wonderful organizing director, Aisha Tariq. We have texting, phone banking programs. We do relational organizing as well. And we have forums and other community events to get people involved and really get connected with what's going on, especially at the local level.
Wow, that's great. What actually inspired you to get to pursue this career in civic engagement?
Well, I used to be an attorney, and I didn't enjoy it very much. And I know, Adrianne, you're an attorney.
Very young attorney.
Stuck with it so far.
You're much stronger than I was. I was just not enjoying it. I went to law school with the intention of pursuing something in civil rights and voting rights, and those jobs just weren't easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I was a 3.0, I just kind of took the first good job offer I had. And no shade on the legal profession. It's a wonderful profession, and we definitely need lawyers. It just wasn't for me. I wasn't finding that interacting with clients in that way was really fulfilling. And I wanted to do something that went back to my original passion of civil rights and voting rights and helping people take full advantage of this right to vote that a lot of us in this room would not have had not that many decades ago.
Absolutely.
And so that through one thing, not to another, I volunteered at some nonprofits where eventually I got connected with MGAGE, and one of their board members encouraged me to apply, and I'm thankful that they did.
Very
Fantastic.
nice. Fantastic.
Constable Shike, what about you? Tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I start in the name of God, most beneficial, most merciful. Was elected as constable back in 2020. At first, it was the Precinct 4 Constable's office, but we had redistricting and, was redistricted into Precinct 3. So very first question that I really get asked is, where is Precinct 3? So Precinct 3 covers the majority of Sugar Land, Missouri City, Stafford, the Meadows, some of Richmond, and some of, I guess you can say, Fort Bend, A-Leaf parts of Houston. The next question I get asked is, well, what does a constable do?
Just like you're reading my list.
Yep.
And so, you can tell I've been interviewed several times, but a constable is very unique. They're the first law enforcement official actually in the state of Texas. We're here established before Texas becoming a state. So we are the oldest law enforcement here in Texas.
Learned something new today. I didn't know that.
The word cop itself comes from the word constable. And so we were always servants of the court. And so when somebody was caught stealing a horse and, we had to go get them, we would bring them back directly to a judge to prosecute them. Over time, we would get some of these bad guys, and these judges won't be available. Maybe they were at a saloon or something, having a couple of nightcaps, I guess you can call them. And, the constables didn't have anywhere to place these prisoners, so they created the sheriff. And so that's the difference really between the sheriff and the constable. The sheriff mans the jail and also does all your criminal side of your enforcement. Your constables, we still serve the courts. And so we have all your civil processes, all your writs. If you're suing someone, it's to be served by the constable, evictions, all your tax sales. We're your bailiffs for your JPs, your justice of the peace. We do all your Class C warrants in the county. And then we also share the criminal side. Just a little bit about myself. Grew up in A-Leaf. Was an athlete my entire, student career. Swam and played basketball, ran track, pretty much did everything. Moved to Fort Bend in 2005, graduated from George Bush High School. My undergrad is in criminal justice from Lamar University with a minor in forensic psychology. And I'm also, I know you don't like lawyers, but I'm also a lawyer as well. Graduated from Thurgood Marshall School of Law. Just anticipating my bar results, which we should have hopefully, inshallah, in the next 10 days.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm very excited about that. I'm probably having more anxiety on that than I am on the election.
Wow.
And, you as an attorney, you know exactly.
That was going to be a one-time test
Yes.
for me. Pass or fail.
I have 3 beautiful daughters, so as we talk about, youth engagement, I grew up, not very wealthy. And so I went through a lot as a child. And so every time I get the opportunity to help a child, I do it. And I understand as the constable that in order to keep my girls safe, I have to be able and willing to keep everybody's kids safe.
So
Absolutely.
I think that segues exactly into what I wanted to talk to you about from a law enforcement perspective. Why is it so important to get young people involved in the community, just from a law enforcement perspective?
Well, when I first started my career, I started with Constable Victor Trevino at the Precinct 6 Constable's Office, and I was assigned to the Houston Housing Authority at the time. And so, one of my first experiences is, as a police officer is, pulling into a neighborhood and kids just running from you. And them just saying, "Hey, it's the police, run!"
Yeah.
And it's
very
kind of,
common.
Yeah, it was
In neighborhoods.
Yeah, and it was something that I saw very commonly in the greater East End and the north sides and the southeast sides of Houston where I worked. And so I had to figure out a way to talk to these kids. And so I've had a couple of viral videos of us playing basketball with these kids and, even us pulling up on them. And, they're like, "Oh, what are y'all doing here?" We're just playing basketball. And we're like, "Well, can we play with y'all?" And they're like,
Oh, wow.
"Really?
So
No one's ever stopped." And,
Yeah.
that was our first thing that we started doing was getting into these communities instead of them calling us or police arriving there because there's been an issue and, one party or the other is not going to be satisfied. It's really a negative interaction with law enforcement. And so my philosophy has always been get into these communities. Don't wait for them to call us. Let's go to them. And
Absolutely.
don't be scared to share your personal cell phone numbers. It was something that I was taught a long time ago, and it's been, very beneficial to me throughout my career.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So in your point of career, have you, being a constable and working with the youth, do you have any programs in place for youths that you've engaged throughout your time of being a constable?
Yeah, Fort Bend County, every year we do a summer internship program. And so I believe it's from 16 to, I want to say it's 21-year-olds, and mainly high school young adults. And they're allowed to intern. The pay, I believe, is about $15 an hour. And we have interns every year. In fact, our interns have come back pretty much every year. They enjoy us so much. And, now these young ladies, they're all off in college. And so it's beautiful to see. And now they're able to use, hey, that we were interns at the Precinct 3 Constable's Office, not just 1 year, but, 4 years.
Yeah.
And not just during the summer, we also partner with different types of programs that schools have. And so some of them have to have community service hours, and so, or they have to have government hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they have a passion for something to do with law enforcement or psychology or law, a lot of them come to our office, and so they'll spend a couple of hours with us, and they'll write essays, and we have to kind of sign off on them. But something that we do very special, actually my chief deputy started it with us, Jimmy Evans. Shout out my chief. But what he started is, there's a Senate bill that came out that students, high school students, prior to getting their driver's license, have to have a civilian interaction with law enforcement. And so he went one day to go teach it at a school. It was actually outside of our physical jurisdiction. It was just the school needed help. He had a connection with them, did a little bit of research, and was like, yeah, sure, we can go do this. And I came out to one of them, and I just saw, the interaction with these kids, and I was like, okay, we're going to do another one. And then, now we participate with Fort Bend ISD, Harmony, KIP, a lot of the different schools that are out there right now. And we actually go out there and teach these kids.
Oh, wow. So they're all engaged. Okay. Very nice.
I'm so glad you mentioned that internship program, because if there's parents out there listening or young people listening, for young people that are interested in law enforcement or the legal career, I think Fort Bend County is pretty unique in this internship program, because I'm at the courthouse almost every day as a criminal defense attorney, and I see the interns in the hallway with the judges or at the DA's office. So there's all sorts of ways for young people to, if they're interested in this, get more information and get really in depth and find out what it's like on a day-to-day basis.
And, that was something great. I have to give it, flowers when flowers are due. That was something great that Commissioner's Court was able to pass. It wasn't available prior to, I believe, 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And after 2020, we were able to get it passed. So, shout out to Commissioner's Court.
Yeah, it's a fantastic program. Other things for young people to do. I think that Engage had an event recently, a legislative advocacy workshop.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. One of the things we love to do at Engage is also connect young people to elected officials, to areas of civics that they might not otherwise have had on their radar. I mean, when I was in high school, I definitely didn't know what the constable's office was. I didn't know what commissioner's court was. I didn't think about the state legislature. And so that's the purpose of these programs. And we got to co-host with the Office of Representative Jean Wu, who's been a six-term member of the Texas House of Representatives. We got to co-host a workshop focused on just legislative advocacy 101, what is the Texas legislature, how is it different from the federal Congress, and what opportunities are there for people, including especially young people, to get involved as just members of the public who are passionate about any issue.
So I'm saying young people. How old were the individuals that event was targeted to?
We targeted that event to really anyone, but we were especially hoping to get college students and other young professionals under 30 to turn out. We followed that event, right? It was right after a professional social we'd had, so we wanted to really encourage more young people getting involved. I've had the opportunity to go just on behalf of Engage and also personally to the Texas legislature several times in the past few years to give testimony on bills that affect our communities, including on voting rights and property rights, immigrants' rights. And it's a good mix of young people, but it also tends to be people who might be retired. They have the time to come and give testimony. And so we wanted to have an event that was really clearly directed at young people as well, to show that this is an opportunity you can take. If you can't come in person, you can do it virtually or online sometimes. You just need to have it on your radar. We also wanted them to meet a long-term member of the Texas House and really form that connection, so they know also, if they have any issues in their community, they can connect with the state rep's office.
Is there a way, or where should people go if they want to find out more about your organization or future events that you might have?
I'm so glad you asked. We have a Facebook page for Engage Texas. I think it's pretty easy to find if you search it.
Okay.
We also have, if you follow our social media, we also promote all of our events there. The tag is at Engage Action on both Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Fantastic. We'll get that out to our listeners for
Awesome.
sure. And listeners, if y'all have any questions for our guests, feel free to give us a call, 713-974-4000. We'd love to hear from you today. Let's talk about, I guess, specifically careers in law enforcement for young people. Constable Shike, you talked a little bit about the internship, but if there's a young person that's listening and they're thinking about becoming an officer or joining law enforcement, what would be some things that you would recommend that they do?
For that particular question, if you don't mind, I brought with me today Mr. Nasser Abbasi, who's one of our new hires. Was a captain formerly at the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office, and comes to us with a lot of community experience, and will be assigned to our community outreach division, and would like to announce on the radio that we'll be promoted back to a captain this coming Friday at 4 p.m.
Congratulations to you,
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes,
Abbasi.
so I'm going to pass it to
Absolutely, please do.
soon to be Captain Nasser Abbasi.
Slide that mic
Yes,
on
I'm
over.
going to slide this over, and Mr. Abbasi, you can answer the question.
Wow, thank you so very much. Thank you, Constable, and thank you, our wonderful hosts here. Yes, I'm very much honored, and I'm sitting here with a heart full of gratitude and a profound sense of honor, and I'm thankful to God that I'm back in law enforcement. I'm back with my people. I'm back in public. I'm back with my brothers and sisters, my
Welcome
friends.
back.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Afsheen. And these 13 months without doing all these things was the most difficult time in my life.
I can imagine.
And thank God I'm back. And thanks to Constable Nabil Shike, who recognized my skills, my professional background, my years of service, and that he hired me at that time when nobody was hiring, because there was unfortunate allegation still pending without any charges. But everybody was saying, let the investigation be over. But he said, you know what, since there are no charges, I'm going to hire you. I don't want to let you go waste.
Yeah.
I know who you are. I've seen you. And thanks to him and thanks to God, first of all, that I'm back. And right after he hired me, thankfully, the case was no-billed by the grand jury. And I am among my people, among you. Afsheen, you are my
Yes.
little sister.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad to see you doing this all. And I'm so glad that I'm back offering my services to the public. And please come join us on Friday, this coming Friday on 27th
Absolutely.
at 4 p.m. at Fort Bend County Annex 3.
Inshallah. We'll try to be
Inshallah.
there.
And
Inshallah.
be with us. And
Inshallah.
let's share ideas. Let's make sure that we build a better society with a secured and more safe future.
No, absolutely.
Inshallah.
That is the whole goal and that's the whole aim. So welcome
Okay,
back.
now what was the question?
Officer
Because you guys were...
Abbasi.
You're fine.
Let's-
No, so I was asking, just if somebody's interested in joining law enforcement, becoming an officer, a young person thinking about that as a career, what should they be doing? And maybe tell us a little bit about what inspired you.
Probably it is my 10th generation in uniform. So uniform always inspired me, and I wanted to be in uniform here in America, the first generation in America in uniform. And for the youngsters here, I always do something which is not everybody does. Right now, I'm giving you all my personal cell phone, which I always do.
Oh, write it down, people.
Yeah.
Write it down,
Yes.
everyone.
And I will not stop it. No matter where I am, no matter where I go, how higher levels of ranks I achieve, but this is my nature, and I want to stay very much close and in touch with my people, with everyone, with human beings. So, first of all, any youngsters who want to join law enforcement, I congratulate them. They have this idea to join such a wonderful career. And
Why should they join?
they should join because this is something more than a career. This is more than, it's like a service, the most important service and the most needed service for humanity. When when you save others, there is no better feeling than that. And I'm sure we need that nowadays, especially what's happening. We need youngsters. We need youngsters to come join us. And they can always go on websites of different cities and counties and constables and sheriffs.
Okay.
There are a bunch of openings. If they are a little bit of afraid of, many youngsters have actually.
Where on the website should they go? Is it career?
Employment.
Is it employment career?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, so the listeners know
And
exactly.
it is not a rocket science. I have met this young man who was failing again and again. And I said, what is happening? What are you doing actually? He was doing like 12 miles running. He was
wow.
doing 400 pounds bench press. And I don't know, so much. I said, calm down. We don't need that much.
What is an actual process of becoming or having a student, apply for this job, or what is the process of that?
First of all, you go
going
online.
online, you apply for that, and what is the criteria for their approvals?
There are two ways. One is going direct to a department.
Okay.
Okay. And the other way is going straight to an academy, a police academy like HCC, University of Houston, and the other schools. They have law enforcement academies, and they are about 5 months full time.
Okay.
You join it, you take some classes.
But
of
do
course,
they join this classes before they apply for a job, or
They can.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's vice versa. You can apply yet
Yes.
go for these classes.
Yeah,
Just
I'll
trying
an-
to be clear.
Yeah, I'll answer this one a little bit
Yeah.
better. So if you're interested in becoming a police officer, first thing you would really want to do is go to the Texas Commission of Law Enforcement's website and see if you meet the minimum requirements
Exactly.
to get into a police academy.
Exactly. Okay.
You have to be at least 20 and a half or older,
Okay.
right? Because you have to be 21 in order to carry a gun, right?
To carry a gun.
And so the law requires you to be at least 20 and a half years old. So upon graduation, you had to have turned 21 years old.
Okay, got it. That makes sense.
Some police agencies require that you have college education. And so some will require you to have 12. Some of them require you to have bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And so what...
Depending on the position.
What Brother Nasser was talking about is, research these police departments because every agency is a little bit different. At the Precinct 3 Constable's office, we're not very real strict on,
Okay.
we'll go with what the state requires you on the minimum side. And then on the hiring side, there may be a little bit other things that we may do depending on policy and procedure. Now, when you go to a police academy, you can either go full-time or you can go part-time. Some agencies, like the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office, the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the Houston Police Department, actually have and host academies of their own. So you can
wow.
apply directly with the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office, the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the Houston Police Department. And if you're selected, they'll put you in their own academy, and then you're basically getting paid. That's best case scenario, but that doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's where the Houston Community Colleges, the University of Houston,
So all the academics.
Lone Star,
Okay.
a bunch of other training providers through the
And
state of Texas.
Do you have particular counselors to guide you on this? Like, you know, a lot of, like if you go to HCC or any other colleges, they have a counselor, they sit with them. Is there a counselor to guide on this this category of the field?
You know, a lot has
'Cause I know it's-
changed since, you know, I went through the academy 12 years ago, so.
No, I've had couple
You know.
students ask me, hey, you know a lot of people in Fort Bend County, police department, and they're like, I want to, you know, my son wants to become a
Give
police
them-
officer.
Give them my phone number.
So,
Give
you know,
them
and that way, at
Nashabai's
least
phone
we
number.
also know, you know, that's you know, information to have. That way we
Yeah.
can direct and guide, you know,
You know,
these young youth.
every entity is a little bit different. So I don't want to speak on the University of Houston or on how they run their policies and
Yeah,
procedures
so
and if
everybody's
they have
different.
counselors. Yeah, so everybody's a little bit different.
Okay.
But if you contact us directly and you let us know that, hey,
I
we're
will
wanting to
forward
be a
them to
police
you.
officer, we'll direct you and help you
Okay.
as far as we can
Yeah.
to help you get into the door. And that's really what we want. There's, in the South Asian community especially, you know, our parents, you know, focus on being the doctors and the lawyers and the engineers and the
Yeah.
pharmacists, the entrepreneurship, and we really don't push government. And if you really truly want to have a seat at the table, government is where we should be really pushing. You know, it's
Wow.
great to have millions of dollars and, you know, all this other stuff, but don't forget about government. You know, you want that seat at that table.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have influence, and that's what I say to our young people, especially those that are fighting for Palestine.
Yeah.
And you see you see a surge of youngsters fighting for a cause, and you know, just imagine if, you know, we're able to take the same energy and put it towards the same cause and other causes as well, and how powerful our youth can become.
That's such an important message, that
Yeah.
seat at the table is so important to have your voice heard and make those policy changes that are important. We had our show last week about voting and the importance of voting and how to vote. Is there anything that Engage is doing to help either with voter registration, or because we're coming up on that deadline? I think October 6th is the deadline.
Yeah.
Do y'all have any events planned or outreach for specifically voter registration?
We do our best to offer voter registration at all of our events, actually, and we usually will partner with, say, the elections office, the tax registrar's office, or I was actually today volunteering for the League of Women Voters. I just came from a classroom of young people, including people who just turned 18 and needed to register to vote, and it's a great experience to get to register someone for that first time. And we have a candidate forum actually this Thursday on the evening at Bayland Community Center in partnership with Sharpstown Civic Association, Baker Ripley, and a lot of our other diverse nonprofits in the Houston area, like Japanese American Citizens League, OCA Greater Houston. I could go on and on. The list is pretty long of our partners, but we do our best to offer voter registration at any event. You just need to ask, and we know it's really important also to check that you are registered, because before that October 7 deadline, you need to make sure that your address is updated. If you've changed your name, you need to make sure that's changed. In Texas, we don't allow people to register to vote for the very first time online, but once you already are registered, you can go to votetexas.gov and update that registration to make sure you don't have any issues while you're voting.
Fantastic. That's
Fantastic.
great information. You mentioned that candidate forum. Is that information on your Facebook and Instagram, social media? They can find that there?
Yes, it should be. I believe I just posted it again to our Facebook this morning, actually, so it should
Great.
be the first thing up there. if
And
you'd like it,
so will it be, where will the candidates be coming from? Local Houston candidates, Fort Bend County, or where is it in general, or where are they coming from?
We wanted to really focus on candidates that don't get a lot of airtime, so we invited the DA positions, the county attorney position in Harris County. We invited different levels of judges, both the district judges and the appellate judges, because what they do, and I'm sure as a lawyer, and you as a lawyer can appreciate that it's so important, they oversee all the cases coming out of Houston, Harris County, Fort Bend, other counties adding up to 10, including like Wharton in this area, and they're the people who would like review your case if you ever say, like, God forbid, even like had a civil rights issue, a state level issue. If you're a business owner and you are in a like contract dispute and you end up appealing, that's where your case goes. And same thing for the district judges. That's those are the people who oversee your case. If hopefully not, but if you ever do need to file a lawsuit, those are the people making decisions that are very personal to you. So we want people to have a chance to connect with those candidates in person and hear from them about why they're seeking our community members' votes, the importance of what they do. And so we do this candidate forum a couple times a year. We're having one in Harris County, as I said, this Thursday. And then for Fort Bend County, we're having one on October 12th at UH Sugarland. And again, it's focused on those local positions like district judge, constable, a commissioner. We really want people tend to go and think about, like president and
Sure,
Congress.
that's what's on TV.
Yeah.
That's what they hear on the news.
Exactly.
That's all the things that they
no one
hear.
knows about the locals, right? So it's a very, very important for them to know that, hey, we have a local team here, and anyone can apply, and there's people, running for those offices, and hey, learn about them. That was our main thing. That's what we spoke about last show, that, hey, you need to come out, you need to know your candidates, learn about them, you know who you're voting for. So, you have the right person to see.
Yes, that's so important.
Constable, you mentioned, I'm just going to go back to it because it resonated with me about having a seat at the table. And since this is geared at young people, or this particular show, but I'm going to pose this question to both of you. If you are a young person and you're thinking about maybe running for office or getting involved that way, is there, I guess, where would you start where would you start the process? What office, how do you find information? How do you know what to do?
So that's a great question. So
And
I got into
what
politics.
office position would you recommend for them to start with?
Yeah, so I got into politics about 20 years ago. I was 15 years old, working with my dad and our late Congresswoman, may she rest in peace, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Congressman Al Green, and our former mayor, Sylvester Turner.
Wow.
And was exposed again as a teenager, and just seeing how campaigns work. So that's the first thing I would recommend, is if you're interested, start getting involved into different campaigns.
Because campaigns need volunteers, all they
We
can
need-
get,
we
right?
all need
All of them
volunteers.
do. Yes.
And so it would develop a skill. You'll learn a lot about how campaigns work, how government works, just working within campaigns, because you're going to hear a lot. Second, I would recommend, regardless of what political party you want to affiliate yourself with, if you are more on the Democratic side or more on the Republican side, I would recommend reaching out to your county's chair and figuring out, hey, let me get on part of the email contact list so I can start attending events, and you can kind of start getting to know what's going on within your political party. If you're more of an independent, maybe reach out to both so you're getting both, and you can start attending some events. Elections wise, if you're over the age of 18, there are some caps that have 25, and I think president is 35. I would start on, if you're in high school, get on your student councils, get on some of these boards that are elected, so you can understand what it takes to run an election.
Great advice, yeah.
And then, start, once you get out, look towards your school boards, your HOAs. Your HOAs are very powerful positions, but they're very small elections.
Yeah.
Very few people are coming out and voting. So if you're, fresh out of high school and you want to get involved, immediately into government, get on your HOA. I'm pretty sure just within your high school friends, at least 50 or 70 of them. In some neighborhoods, that's all that are coming out and voting is 50 to 70 people.
Very
so
true.
they're very low-hanging fruit for you to get involved in government. And not just to our youth, but to anybody. Start with these HOAs and MUDs and start learning about how government works. And then you start going for your constables, your sheriffs, and your county attorneys, and your judges, and so forth.
You're right.
You want to kind of add? a little bit to it?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to be additive since you covered that thoroughly. Definitely student government and those kinds of positions I think are overlooked often,
Yeah.
but they're a really good way to also get into the habit of what does, quote unquote, governing and building coalitions and working in coalitions look like. So, for example, I was talking to a student at UT recently, and because they took the step of being in their student government, they were in a position to try to fight back when the university wanted to eliminate polling locations on their campus. And being able to be a young person and in that position to help fight for access to a polling location was so important.
Very important.
And when we think about it, there are more tables when we're talking about having a seat at the table. There are more tables than we can think of, not just HOAs and MUDs and school boards, but also there are different commissions and citizen bodies at the city level and county level that people can apply to. Like, for example, here in Houston, I believe there's a AAPI Advisory Council the mayor has that people can apply to. There's different kinds of commissions in big cities all the time. And
probably you just find what you're interested in or passionate about, and you can
Yeah.
probably find some sort of advisory committee or
And
some way
even
to
getting
be.
becoming a part of our office and volunteering things to do with our office, or even with
I think that's the
Engage.
best way to start is where you just come
Start
out
at
and
home.
join a campaign, or offices where you can put in your volunteering hours and kind of swim through what you would like and what routes what areas you like to participate in. And I think that's what I had a Women for Women event on Sunday with Judge Tamika Carter, and that was one of the questions that came about is how can our community get involved. So my suggestion was that, hey, you have to, if you want to get involved, you got to put yourself out there. Join a campaign. Join one of the offices of MUD, like you recommended, and know your likes and dislikes and where you're comfortable, and then maybe you can swim your way into Fort Bend County and have a position there. And this is exactly what they were trying to get to the how do we get involved in Fort Bend County. The only way to do is come out, put your volunteering hours out, like what you do, and you'll find something out there. There's so many things you can get into, like you said. So that's a great advice from both of you. And you guys started so young. That's amazing. That young youths, and I think you guys will be a very big motivation for a lot of youths out there if they are all listening to us, and I'm sure they are.
Actually wasn't that young. I waited until I was way in my 20s before I got involved.
That's still
so
young.
Today's
time is very
to
young.
Constable Shike for starting that young.
Yeah, well, that credit goes to my dad. Just identifying that it's something that we need in our society is getting our young people
Yes,
involved.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so that credit goes off
And
to
I
my
think
dad.
our society has a little bit of a little, I mean, I don't want to be negative, but a little bit of a backward mind when it's a community, or communities normally when they're young, we are young, parents think of getting us married off rather than having us, make something of ourselves in the community and engage in the community and then, create yourself.
As a Pakistani American, something great that we've had throughout the years is the Pakistani Association of Greater Houston, the PAGH. And growing up, it was all about community. And, that's another great way to engage in, what's going on is, they host elections. They're having a lot of politicians and elected officials and very influential people coming to their events. I wish, PAGH was a little bit more, firm and strong as it was when I was a child, because it really brought us community. And I'm sure, from the Indian community as well, they have organizations, because, Radio Dabang is a South Asian radio station. And so when you look at all of the different ethnicities that fall under the South Asian umbrella, we all have community centers, and so we can all get involved within our own communities.
Absolutely.
Get involved in your religious establishments, in your mosques, and your mandars, and your temples.
Absolutely.
And get involved in those and build community first.
And I think that segues exactly into what I wanted to ask next is, that's the whole point of this show is to
Bring out the awareness.
Bring out the awareness and
And how
get
about
the community involved and
Mhm.
make, just bring awareness and excitement. And this question is for both of you. What are some, I guess, what can we do as a program to raise awareness, or what are some things that we could help draw attention to in
Yeah.
order to make that happen?
I know we'd love your help
we'd love
advertising
your
our youth
ideas on
program.
this
Yeah.
so we can implement it maybe.
Because we're new. New show.
It's a new show. We're still learning as well. So if you have any ideas, we'd love to implement it in the next show, if possible. That's what we ask everyone for, all the ideas.
It's exciting, and again, congratulations on your show. I was just, when I clocked in, y'all told me that it's such a great setup, and it's exciting to be a part of this.
Thank you.
MGH has a youth program, actually, that I'm glad for the opportunity to plug, because we recruit people between the ages of 18 and 29. Sometimes we'll make exceptions, who are in that period where they're either students or young professionals, to do a leadership program and get connected with different levels of government. So, for example, in our most recent program, we took the students to learn more about each branch of government. And
Wow.
Judge Collier, actually, along with...
She was there too on Sunday.
She was.
She's
wonderful, very engaging.
such a wonderful person.
She and Judge Brittany Morris and Judge Gloria Lopez all hosted the students in the civil courtrooms, and then they were also hosted by one of the criminal court judges, and that way they got to see a courtroom in a way that was not, it was, for a lot of them, it was their first time in a
First time.
courtroom, and being able to see that, interact with the judges, and hear about the importance of jury duty,
Mhm.
I think was really important to just
Yeah.
for that process of thinking about the duties of citizenship.
The lawyer in me
Absolutely.
wants to do a whole show on jury duty.
Okay. I'll listen to it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the things I think is just use the platform to, like y'all are doing now. Afsheen and
Adrianne, that's fine.
Adrianne, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Is just use it to educate our community.
Yeah.
Radio Dabang and Brother Mike Khan have a very vast network, and so we can reach a lot of people.
Absolutely. That is the whole idea.
And so, one of the things that I would love to see, I'm real big into like sports,
Mhm.
right? And something that we used to do as the community used to do before, which we don't really do now, is get all our kids together
And have a sports.
and have a sports day. We take them
Mhm.
to these Houston Astros. The Houston Astros tickets are like $10.
Maybe Fort Bend County can start something like that for our
they're
community.
they're like $10, right? And
Yeah.
so to get, a couple of, maybe 50 to 100 students on a bus and
Yeah.
to take them out there and to build camaraderie amongst
Right.
each other, build community
Mhm.
amongst each other,
Mhm.
and not just, Muslims with Muslims and, the Hindus with the Hindus and the Christians with the Christian, but find ways to incorporate everything because
all communities.
yeah,
together.
all communities.
Absolutely.
If we're going to live together, work together, go to school together, make money together, right? We should all learn how to get along. And it starts young.
It does. It does. And I think that the kids today, it's a whole new world for them. They are seeing things, and Fort Bend County especially is such a diverse county. And so it's so important for everybody to understand and work together, and that's how we're going to be better and get ahead in this world. And so I'd love to see something like that. To bring everybody together.
if I can add one more thing.
Please,
sure.
absolutely.
Especially with the legislative session coming up, there are a lot of advocacy days happening at the Capitol where organizations, including like MGH or other nonprofits that work with the community, they will sponsor buses to go to the Capitol.
Very
and we'll
nice.
get you prepped as well to advocate on issues that you care about.
So
yeah.
in case our listeners don't know, this is I want you to explain a little bit how the Texas legislature works, because the legislative session, they're not always in session, right?
Yes.
So kind of explain so that our listeners know what's coming up.
Sure, thanks for that question. Yes, unlike the federal Congress, our legislative bodies are part-time. We have a House and a Senate. They both meet from January to May, once every 2 years, unless there's a special session, actually. We had several back-to-back in 2023, so there was just a lot of sessions back-to-back. But generally, I would look out for dates between January and May, especially around like March, where you can go do an advocacy trip and meet with lawmakers right there at the Capitol or their staff to talk about issues you care about.
And Engage will be, I guess, specifically promoting advocacy days on their own as well, correct?
Yes, we do.
Fantastic. I think that's such a intimate way to get involved, because that's you as an advocate face to face with your policymakers, with your lawmakers, and having your voice heard right there in real time, not at the voting booth, not in an email. It's really personal and really, I think it would be a great experience for people to have.
I think it is. I think I'm biased because we have, of course, our own youth program, but we took them to Austin a couple of times recently, and it's been a good experience for them. I think it's good for lawmakers as well, to hear from young people. For the youth program that you have, is that an application process, or is it a rolling activities, or how do you get involved with that specifically? What's the way? Well, you can invite us back to be on your show. No, I'm joking.
Anytime.
We'll be opening the applications in the winter, so we can definitely, I can get your contact info and let you all know about that. And if anyone wants to follow us as well, our tag is at Engage Action, and we post on our socials when that application opens.
Okay.
We'll be on the lookout, and we'll be sharing that information as well.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think we had great information, great knowledge we shared with our listeners today. And listeners out there, if you have any questions, you may dial in 713-974-4000. We still have our guest here. They can answer any questions you have on your mind.
We've got just a couple of more minutes. So if you've got a question for either of our guests, please do call in. Election day is coming up, so I'm going to bring that up one more time. For the presidential election anyways, Texas really isn't considered a swing state. So we've got a lot of listeners that might be wondering, okay, well, then why am I even going to bother? Why should they bother? Both of y'all.
I'd have to disagree with that. Texas has always been a swing state, right? Texas is not a red state. It's not a blue state. It's just a non-voting state, right? If we just have to educate our voters, and I think, it's only a matter of time before Texas flips blue. And so, I know on that top of the ticket, there's a lot of people from, mainly the South Asian community and all communities that are a little hesitant on, who to pick on the top. Not necessarily. The lower you go down that ballot, the more it affects what happens every day at home. And so what I would recommend everybody do is start from the bottom of that ballot and work your way up, because you're going to recognize a lot more names. You're going to see people that you have seen before, that have worked within your community, from, your constables to your sheriff to your commissioner candidates and so forth as it goes up the ballot. And so that's something that I would recommend. If you're indecisive on the president, don't allow it to hurt the people that are actually trying to work for you. And those are all of your down ballot candidates.
So start at the bottom.
Start at the bottom.
Those are the close to home, the people that are closest to home. And, in Fort Bend County compared to Harris County, Harris County is a much, much, much larger ballot. I think it's 12 or 16 pages, where in Fort Bend it's like 4 pages.
Oh, wow.
And it's because of all the judges that they have.
Yeah.
And so much, much, much larger county. And so to our friends and our listeners that live and reside in Harris County, I know it's a lot more candidates. It's a lot more fatigue that you got to go through. But there are a lot of people that are fighting for your kids. There are a lot of people that are fighting for democracy and for a safer environment. And so don't penalize them by just whoever's on that top of the ticket. Don't listen to a lot of the media propaganda.
It's
Yeah.
propaganda.
It's
for-
propaganda.
It's just
you know,
propaganda.
where they
Not
say
this
that
media, but other
yeah, where
media.
they say that Texas is not a swing state because Texas is just not a voting state.
Yeah.
The moment Texans wake up and they realize that, hey, we need to vote, it's happened before, it's happened in the past, and it's, again, history always repeats itself, so it's going to happen again.
Great. Great.
Yeah, if I can add something to
Please.
that.
Yeah, sure. Please.
You definitely start local. And when we think about the gap between young people and other voters, even in a year like 2020 when there was a presidential election year, only about like 52-53% of young people voted nationally. People in the oldest segment of the population who vote, they voted at almost 90%. So when you think just about that gap,
Wow.
and you think about maybe why some young people feel disaffected or don't feel that voting is worth it, it will be worth it if we all do it. So definitely show up, bring a friend with you. When we talk about the power of our voices at the ballot, that gets amplified at the local level so much. Just this year, we had a Senate race where actually a young candidate was running against an older candidate in Harris County, and the ultimate result was only 78 votes. I believe 77, 78 votes.
That's
out
wild.
of
Wow.
hundreds of thousands of voters in that district. So don't ever think your vote doesn't count. Whenever you choose to not vote, you're actually taking that power of your vote and giving it to everybody else, including people who might disagree with you. So definitely exercise that right. And if you're a college student and you're not sure where you want to vote, if you're out of district, you're going to college, you have the option of either going back to your home district and voting, or you can vote by mail if you don't want to change your address. And that deadline is in October. But apply early because you have to apply for a mail-in ballot, and then you get the actual ballot. So I just
Great.
wanted to give a plug
Okay.
for that.
That's a great
have that on your mind if
information.
you're in
Good.
college.
Good information. Okay.
I
Good to
think that's
know.
a great way to wrap up today,
Okay.
because that gives people something to do, something to look into.
Yeah.
Research those down ballot races. You mentioned the League of Women Voters earlier. That's a great resource to learn
Yes.
about those candidates. And be ready to start at the bottom and work
And
your
work
way
your
up
way
on
up.
election day or early voting or
Started
mail.
from the bottom, now
before,
we
Now
we,
we're here.
before we sign off, I know you spoke about the internship. I just wanted to address one more thing. If we have listeners and they wanted to apply for the internship, how about can they do so? We didn't speak of that, so
yeah,
if you
so
can kind
they
of touch
can
bases on
they
that.
can shoot me an email at nabil.shike, nabil.shike at FortBendCountyTX.gov
Okay,
or
we'll have that on the
FBCTX.gov,
For
or
internships.
they can call us at the office 281-242-4014. Again, that's 281-242-4014.
Fantastic. Thank y'all both for joining us today.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Dabang Power Hour. We look forward to for you to join us next Tuesday at 1:00.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and being so supportive. Thank you, all the listeners. This is Afsheen Bahmani, your co-host, and see you next time, next week, Tuesday, 1 to 2 p.m.